Welcome to Kaywon Action Star. Watch. They savagely murdered a heavily pregnant woman. To the kill team that did this, it was just another routine blunder, until they faced the merciless wrath of her husband on that fateful day. Somewhere back in Aleppo, Syria, two insurgents are swiftly eliminated as a group of Navy SEALs emerge from beneath the water, armed and prepared. One of them is John Kelly. They rendezvous with CIA operative Ritter, who nonchalantly reveals that their next objective is to retrieve a CIA asset held captive in a nearby compound. But here's the twist. Ritter confesses he has no real idea how many hostiles are inside. John's unimpressed with the ambiguity and makes his displeasure clear. That evening, the SEALs stealthily infiltrate the building. They silently eliminate a sentry, then breach the interior with force. After heading to the upper floor, they come under fire, but the squad neutralizes the threat like seasoned veterans. Once the firefight subsides, they retrieve the agent, but John senses something odd. The foes weren't native fighters. They were former Russian military personnel. He flags it to Ritter, who shrugs it off like it's irrelevant. Just as they're about to extract, a truck crashes through the corridor, unleashing chaos. Several operators are killed, and their commander, Greer, plunges through the floor. John insists on rescuing her, but Ritter bails, abandoning her. John and a pair of Marines remain behind to support Greer, who's pinned down. John drops into the opening and battles the intruders. That's when they discover the site is actually a Russian arms depot. They'd been misled all along. They fight their way out. John eliminates two guards with ease. They catch Ritter just as he's boarding a helicopter. John demands an explanation, but Ritter only smirks. John nearly snaps and grabs him, but Greer intervenes. Ritter then calls in an airstrike that obliterates the depot. 3 months pass. John and his wife Pam are visiting his parents, celebrating her 6th month of pregnancy. John has exited the Marines and lined up a job in private security, which he's looking forward to. Meanwhile, in North Carolina, John's old Marine friend Rowdy steps out to toss the trash, when a van barrels into him, killing him instantly. In Atlanta, another Marine, Heath, is ambushed in traffic and executed by armed men leaping from a vehicle. Back at John's house, he and Pam return from the gathering and get ready to sleep. He speaks tenderly to their unborn child, trying to connect, but Pam is too exhausted. John heads downstairs to unwind with some music. Outside, a kill squad disables the power. John's laptop shuts off, and he senses something's wrong. Hearing creaks above, he grabs his flashlight and pistol. Upstairs, the assassins storm Pam's room and unleash gunfire, some targeting the wrong spot. The intended victim, John, wasn't in bed, only his wife. John rushes to the stairs, eliminates one intruder, and fatally shoots another. In a final exchange, he's hit. Both go down. The wounded enemy crawls off. Bleeding and barely conscious, John drags himself to the bedroom and finds Pam lifeless. He clutches the sheets, crushed, before blacking out. He wakes in a hospital, clinging to life. Meanwhile, CIA officials and military brass convene. Ritter subtly suggests the SEALs may have been involved in illicit activity, which angers Greer. She demands honesty, but Ritter stays evasive. Still in a coma, John dreams of Pam, then convulses. Days later, he awakens with Greer by his bedside. He asks about Pam and the baby, and collapses emotionally upon hearing they're both gone. Determined to uncover the truth, John believes the attack was carried out by experts. He recalls the face of the man he killed, and the one who fled. Greer, however, has no identities to offer. Later, Greer meets with Defense Secretary Clay. He praises her lineage and asks if John can be trusted, hinting that he's devising a response. John begins rehabilitation. Soon, Greer joins Clay and Ritter at a briefing. Ritter shows them an image of the son of the Russian intelligence chief, who died during their operation. He suspects retaliation. Greer brings up a 4th attacker seen in surveillance, but Ritter dismisses it. The CIA, he says, considers the matter resolved. Furious, Greer finds John and suggests they grab a drink. She finally understands his fury and presents the attacker's photos, except one is missing, the real ghost. All three used forged IDs tied to an ex-FSB agent named Andre Vassal, who's untouchable. Days later, John returns to his home, still a crime scene. He walks through the ruin, weighed down by sorrow. In the basement, he retrieves a cache of guns and cash. Upstairs, he drenches himself in liquor and gears up. John tracks Vassal to a consulate, faking drunkenness. He provokes the guards. He spots Vassal departing in a convoy and tails them. John calls 911, reporting a weapon sighting in the convoy, forcing police to halt it. Vassal ends up isolated. John crashes into his vehicle, douses it with fuel, and shoots the driver. He aims at Vassal, demanding the final team member's name. When Vassal stalls, John shoots his leg. Vassal finally admits John was the target. He was never meant to survive. John puts another bullet in his chest, puncturing a lung. Vassal utters a name. Viktor Rykov. John kills him and waits for police. The media erupts. Russian operatives assassinated U.S. Marines. The CIA scrambles to contain the story. Ritter accuses Greer of leaking intel to John and warns Clay this could spark conflict with Russia. Clay, unconcerned, says John shook the hornet's nest, and now they wait. John's imprisoned, facing a lifetime sentence. Greer visits him. He feels betrayed but unrepentant. He tells her there's more, something new. But to hear it, they'll need to free him. In his cell, John hears Russian voices outside. A guard enters, telling him he's being moved. John refuses. The guard departs. John wraps his fists in a towel, removes his shirt, and floods the room, readying himself. Suddenly, a squad of guards storms in. John fights ferociously, dropping them one by one. He seizes one, threatening his life unless the rest retreat. Just as backup arrives, U.S. Marshals intervene. One offers John a phone. On the line is Greer. Go with them. They'll get you out. John is taken to a hidden facility, one of those black sites where questions aren't asked. Inside, he's met by Clay, Ritter, and Sarah, the CIA director. They're unsure what John's uncovered. He delivers a bombshell, the name Viktor Rykov. Sarah is visibly shaken but masks it, claiming Rykov is dead. Ritter tries to divert, but finally admits Rykov is alive. He's the mastermind behind the ambush. John instantly identifies him from the photos, rattling Sarah further. Ritter insists they must catch Viktor immediately. John demands inclusion in the mission. Clay denies it. Surprisingly, even Greer agrees, saying John's not ready. But after a pause, Clay relents. He allows John to join, but only under the condition he returns to custody afterward. John joins the squad in a hangar, prepping for a daring op. They'll fly commercial to Russia and parachute in. Ritter, unsurprisingly, takes a separate route. During the flight, John playfully jabs at Greer for not standing up for him. She says she was protecting him. John admits he blames himself, thinking leaving the Marines sooner might have saved Pam and their child. But he's resolute. This is about payback. Greer warns it's a rescue op, not a revenge mission, but John's already made up his mind. Just before they jump, a Russian fighter jet intercepts and orders the pilot to divert. The pilot refuses. The jet fires, crippling the engines. The plane plummets into the ocean. Greer urges the team to bail, but John stays behind to salvage the gear. They need it to complete the job. As the aircraft sinks, he attaches flotation devices to the bags and pushes them upward. Running out of air, he narrowly survives and is pulled onto a raft by his team. They race toward the objective, reach a village, and set up in a safe house. John's instantly wary. He suspects the attack wasn't coincidence. He believes Ritter arranged it. Meanwhile, Ritter and his team watch news reports when John's crew barges in, weapons raised. Ritter begins defending himself, but John grabs him by the throat. Ritter insists he's not a traitor, just trying to stop Viktor. John releases him, and Ritter scurries off, literally to change clothes. Later, they load into a van and arrive near Viktor's hideout. John spots him through a scope. Greer sees him and asks what he's doing. John says he's just observing. The squad enters and climbs the stairs. John suddenly locks the gate, isolating himself. Inside, he finds all the Russians already dead. Victor steps out, wearing a vest loaded with explosives. He tells John they're both expendable pawns. John keeps him talking, but Victor claims patriotism and detonates. Boom! The team reaches John, who says Victor was lying in wait. Suddenly, gunfire. A sniper targets them. One soldier goes down. They search for the shooter's location, but visibility is poor. John uses a shard of glass to pinpoint the sniper. He provides cover as others rescue the injured. But a second marksman joins in, escalating the danger. Local police arrive, only to be gunned down. John realizes it's all a trap. The plan is to spark war with bodies on Russian soil. As the firefight continues, John blasts through a wall to another apartment. He and Greer coordinate a risky play. He draws fire while she flanks the sniper. She sneaks behind him, tackles the enemy, and kills him after a vicious struggle. They regroup in the lobby, but it's teeming with police. Escape seems impossible. John proposes a diversion. He'll stay behind so the others can flee. Greer protests, but John reminds her, he's an ex-con. If someone's sacrificed, it should be him. She agrees, reluctantly. John heads to the roof, launches grenades, and opens fire to stall the police. Though wounded in the shoulder, he crashes through a skylight and battles a soldier hand-to-hand. After taking him down, John grabs a rifle and clears the stairwell. He plants a charge and detonates it, shaking the entire building. In the chaos, John slips out in a Russian military outfit. He steals an ambulance and barely makes it to the safe house. Greer finds him, helps him inside. The team later escapes by boat. On the journey, John reflects, Victor was just another chess piece. They'll never know who really controls the board. He knows he's headed back to prison, but Ritter shocks him with an offer, freedom and funds. Ritter believes they'll have better luck with John working off the radar. Weeks later, Clay dines out, watching news of worsening US-Russia tensions. He visits the restroom, without security. That's when John confronts him. He accuses Clay of sabotaging the mission from the beginning. When Clay slips up, John realizes he was part of the conspiracy all along. He knocks Clay out. Clay awakens, bound inside John's van. John demands answers. Clay stays silent, until John threatens his family. Clay cracks. He confesses everything. He orchestrated the conflict to push America into another war with a strong opponent like Russia. He claims the country thrives on warfare. John, emotionless, buckles up, and drives off a bridge into the river. As they plunge into the river, he orders Clay to say Pam's name. Even when he does, John watches him drown. Later, the news shows a funeral at the cemetery for both Pam and John Kelly. Greer accepts a folded flag, misty-eyed. She steps into a van, and finds John still very much alive, locking in the van. Turns out, he recorded everything that Clay confessed. Ritter used it as leverage to cut a deal to give John a brand new identity. Moments later at the train station, John bids Greer goodbye while she hands him his new ID document to keep him disappeared forever. And that's a wrap on this recap. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to this channel for more beautiful recaps like this. Put down your comments below to let me know what you think about the turn of events in this storyline. And also give my video a thumbs up to further motivate me. Share too for others to enjoy. Until my next recap, cheers!